Alright, welcome. Today's review is Continuously Variable by S. When this figure first came around, I was interested in it, but I didn't end up buying it until it went on sale at TF Source or Big Bad Toy Store or wherever. But I've had it for, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years now. But after taking a break from Transformers for a couple of years, now that I've gotten back into it, I'm sort of refocusing my collection on a masterpiece style G1-ish collection. So I wanted to reevaluate how this guy fits into that new collection. Let's talk about his name for a second. I always am curious how third parties will handle the names. I like when they can come up with clever or interesting ways to refer to a G1 character without using a trademark infringing name. This one's pretty awkward. I mean, it's continuously variable refers to what gears do, but it's not really a name. Could you imagine trying to talk to somebody named continuously variable? That's like 9 freaking syllables. Hey, continuously variable, how was your day? What should we have for dinner tonight, continuously variable? Or think back to the G1 cartoon. Whenever Optimus Prime got hurt, the Autobots would always shorten it to Prime! Look out, Prime! Or when Spike needed help all the time, he'd be yelling, Optimus! Now, imagine yourself with this guy's name. You'd sound like a crazy person if you were shouting continuously anytime somebody got hurt or shot at, or variable when you needed help. It's ridiculous. And the company name, of course, is little better. Are you supposed to say it like an abbreviation, SXS, or S cross X, or S by S? I mean, just the 3 letters sound too similar. It sounds like you're saying sex. So don't be surprised when I call this just Gears, or not Gears, during the review. Alright, enough of that. Let's, here he is. Sex, continuously variable. Alt mode. It's a truck. I rather like this little truck mode. It's a nice little detailed. It's got big knobby tires. There we go. Big knobby off-road looking tires. It's got a big beefy grill. It's got hard angles to it and lots of nice little sculpt lines to it. It's got some interesting sculpted details on it and nice few little silver paint apps, and I think it's a nice modernish update to Gears. The tires are hard plastic, and because of the big knobby treads, they don't always roll really well on hard surfaces. But on something grippy like this vinyl or a carpet or a couch, it rolls alright. I like the glossy black windows. I don't know if I like this continuous autofocus I have going on here. So I'll try and move it less. I like the glossy black windows. I appreciate clear plastic windows, such as in Masterpiece Sideswipe, except, you know, I don't necessarily like that you can see robot mode bits through the windows. I mean, unless the interior is trying to be part of the disguise, like on the alternators or something, I kind of feel like the black, just solid black painted windows is better. I like the moonroof. That's a nice touch. Plus, if it's clear plastic, I mean, you're always a little afraid that something's going to be a little bit more fragile. The red and blue colors clearly evoke Gears in a way I like. The blue has a, let's see if we can see it. It's kind of got a speckling to it that makes it look, there we go. It kind of makes it look sparkly and shiny, kind of like automotive paint jobs can. The red is mostly fine. It's a little bit plasticky looking in some lights. And it too has a little bit of the speckling, kind of reflective look to it. But it doesn't add to the blue much, or it doesn't add to the look of the red, rather, like the blue does, somehow. I don't know if it's because of the shade or the kind of plastic, and I really don't like that the white balance is changing with too much red in frame. Anyway, the red and the blue are fine. What does bother me is stuff you wouldn't normally see in vehicle mode, but since I'm talking about colors, let's look at it here. This gray is a very unattractive kind of bland and flat gray. I think it also has a sort of reflective sparkling speckling to it, but it absolutely does not add at all to how the plastic looks. It looks cheap, not good, and I don't like the gray. But anyway, there's some silver paint apps in car mode, little taillight things there, the side panels, the wheels. It's great, the grille, of course. So the silver's nice, but there's not really a lot of paint to this thing. He taps together really well. He's really solid as a truck. Nothing, well, okay. The grille can come undone, but other than that, it's really a solid thing. It's not really gappy or panel liney like, say, that horrifying Classics Ironhide. The inner side is pretty clean. Oh, there's a storage for his gun there. I do like that. Except that he comes with 2 guns, and there's no place to stash the second gun. There's no peg holes, there's no place to put it. I mean, there's space there, but there's no way to attach it in there anyway. So that's a bit of a letdown. Plus, you can't have the cool gun mode that some of the Masterpiece cars do. Cool gun mode. As far as the truck design, I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's clearly not like cartoon accurate or toy accurate to G1, and it's not a real life vehicle that I know of. But it looks kind of cool. Let's see what he looks like compared to, say, Masterpiece Prime and Masterpiece Sideswipe. He's a little bit undersized for being supposed to be a truck, but that's okay. I mean, these guys aren't exactly to scale either. I never do remember to flip those windows out. And they're mirrors, not windows. Anyway, it obviously doesn't scale super well in vehicle mode, but that's okay. I mean, he's small and undersized, but Gears was always tiny, right? I mean, his G1 toy is about this big. So he's an alright truck. I do like the truck mode. Now, let's start transforming this guy. And it's actually pretty simple and mostly straightforward, so I'm going to do it on camera. The first thing you do is you flip open this grill. And when you do it, there's a funny resistance. And I don't know if I'll be able to get it on camera, but let's hope so. It collides right there on both sides. And if I could angle it right and get the light in right there, you can see there the 2 pieces of plastic are hitting, and it's notched right there. Also on this bottom side. So there's not the right clearance there. The 2 pieces of plastic are colliding and wearing down. This is not a piece that's going to be visible in either mode, so it's not really a big deal, but it makes me feel like maybe they didn't give this enough design passes, maybe. It makes me worried that maybe something else could be going wrong. I flip this up. The next step then is to unfold these wheels, and they also can collide in a couple of places that there it is. Right there as they go through there. Although, it wasn't until I was really messing with this and preparing for this review I realized or remembered that this panel actually can slide out. So you can unclip it a little bit and then slide it out, and then there's clearance. But the grill does not have that. So you fold that up. The rest of the transformation's pretty intuitive. Just kind of unpeg things and untwist things. Except, again, with the weirdness, you can see that there's a line there. There's different pieces here. Something is supposed to move here, but when you try and do it, if you don't remember what it's supposed to do, it doesn't feel like there's not enough clearance for things to move past each other, because you're just supposed to force it, just force it past And I don't like it. I mean, clearly it's designed to go this way. It's not broken. There's not stress marks anywhere. The plastic flexes so you can do it, but oh, it's kind of terrifying because it just rubs up against each other. But I mean, you can see there's a few little marks, but it's not really wearing or worn down. So it's not terrible, I guess. Sometimes I have trouble reaching in there for those feet. But anyway, it's just a couple of things that make you realize maybe they should have done a couple more passes at the design. Let's adjust the camera here. Also with the arms, and peg this window there and slide it up on a rail that can't see in there very well. Slide it up on that rail. And then you've got, there we go, got a bit of a backpack thing there. It's not always clear when you should rotate the arms and flip this panel around, and it kind of just feels a bit unnatural in when to do that. Plus some of these angles, which I like the way they look, but they kind of catch on things a little bit. And one of these, because of the way you're never quite sure when you're supposed to. I mean, this doesn't turn all the way because this is in the way, but you've got to rotate it that way, and then you can turn it some more, and then you can flip stuff out. It's a little bit, when do I move this and where and why? Can you see in there, there's some stress marks because it's not obvious when you're supposed to move things all the time. But anyway, this gun clips in there really tightly. So now you can just kind of flip all this around, slide again on another rail, so you can flip it down, and then plug the back, probably too close there, just plug the back into the chest piece, spin it around, and it's sometimes a little hard to get those things lined up exactly right. Then they mostly stay together. Flip out the hands, fold down the arms, and you're done. And maybe rotate the arms around so that they're facing the right direction. There. Roof goes down. These tracks don't slide super well. Something is sticking. Caught. What is it? Oh. I think you're actually supposed to put this down and then those up against it. Something like that. Anyway, there is... what's his name? Continuously variable, not gears. And it's mostly okay. I think I hate the gray color, especially in robot. Well, only in robot mode. It's just so bland, and especially once you start seeing silver showing up on his knees and his shoulders and his chest, it just really makes this gray look plain, underwhelming. Anyway, on the whole, I think at first glance this figure is kind of meh, and it kind of goes downhill from there the more you mess with it. The head is weird. I'm not entirely sure what about it I don't like. Maybe the flatness, maybe the lines are too deep. I don't know. Something is a little off about it, and I kind of don't like it. It's grumpy looking. I appreciate that. Let's adjust this. Oh, let's go up. The chest, something looks a little weird with the chest, and I really feel like I don't have something transformed right, but there's nothing to do. It looks like gears, but only in broad strokes, really. I mean, it wasn't meant to be a strict cartoon accurate remake or anything. Again, something just looks off and odd about the chest and the head, and I'm not sure what it is. but something about it just seems strange. The rear panels hang off of the top of the knees in a stupid way. I haven't looked at the directions to remind myself how what the correct way is to have it, if they're supposed to be sticking straight back like that. But that's annoying, and maybe if you're going to do a leaning forward pose, that can help with some balance issues, but I mean, it feels awkward when you're trying to grab it to pose things. You can leave them folded down, but then they kind of collide with the feet from time to time. I'm just in the light, aren't I? I guess you could flip them up, but then they look dumb hanging out there by the thighs. I don't think I have this pegged in quite all the way. So the leg panels are dumb. The doors on the arms get in the way because they don't fold. They're just giant doors. It would be nice if they kind of folded back behind or something. I always feel like these things are attached to the forearm, so when I want to rotate the forearm, I grab these, and then that just wrenches the whole arm around because it's actually attached to the back of the bicep. And so, it can collide when you try and lift his arm up. You have to be careful of the doors. They're kind of in the way a lot. The backpack doesn't peg together in any way. It just sits back here, and if you try and grab these, they'll push that out, or if I have them slayed out all the way, I think, so that things fit together. It's awkward, it's cumbersome, and then this happens when you grab the back to pose him, because it's not pegged in together, and it really just kind of slides into place. It doesn't peg into place, if that makes sense. It's just kind of barely frictioned in place, mostly resting in place. On first glance, the articulation seems okay, but once you start posing him a lot, you quickly run into issues. It's okay on average, but it's definitely not great. His arms are not great. They've got not very posable elbows, not quite 90 degrees. The wrists move up a little bit, I guess. That's nice. The shoulders would be free, but you can't rotate in all directions that you might want to because design gets in the way, or the doors clash with the background, or backpack rather. He's got this up and down joint, which is really stiff. The leg articulation is pretty good. The feet are on these big balls, and they've got a great tilt in every direction, forward, back, side to side. He's got little feet pegs so that he can... Oops. Got leprosy. That just came unplugged. Come on. He's got deep knees, which is really great. The thighs or the hips are fairly largely unimpeded, and he's got swivels there. So he's got pretty decent leg articulation, But all these great leg articulation, it can be annoying with these leg panels, but you can kind of get some stuff you want. But you've got all this great leg articulation, and then you can't do anything with his upper body. He's got a waist swivel, and that's it. Oh, his neck swivels too. And again, this just frictioning in place. But the head, the great leg articulation is let down by the head. It makes it almost worthless because the head can only swivel. So if you want to have some sort of deep kind of crouching pose, leaning forward, looking up, well, there's no looking up. He can crouch forward and lean down and look at the ground. And okay, it looks alright here, but if you had him standing next to a figure like Masterpiece Prime, who I've transformed yet, it's not like he can look Masterpiece, not look Prime in the head, in the eyes, more like in the knees. So it renders, it makes the leg articulation very limited because you can't, if you want him to look up, you have to angle the torso. And so that's kind of crappy. I think he might supposed to have light piping, because if you can see back there, the back half piece of his head is clear plastic, and I think his eyes are the clear plastic showing through, but there's absolutely no functionality to light piping. I don't know if it's because of that screw, if that that's right above the eyes, I think. I don't know if that's blocking all the light, or if, or what else the problem might be, but whatever the problem is, the lights do not pipe the eyes. The eyes do not pipe the light at all. He has two guns. Where'd the other one go? I seem to have dropped it. One is in red and one is in gray. I like that he has two guns because I like dual wielding pistols, but I hate that they're separate colors. It looks goofy, looks wrong to me. I hate it, to be honest. Same complaint I had with TFC's Hercules figures way back when, that they each had two copies of their gun, but one in purple and whatever the other color was. Red. So anyway, truck mode is pretty good. Mostly a win for me, but the vehicle mode, or rather, the robot mode is a bit below average. Good leg articulation let down by bad upper body articulation. The panels are just so big that he's awkward and goofy, and I mostly like the guy, but I am disappointed by him kind of whenever I see him in robot mode. I'm happy in truck mode, like him a little bit less every time he's a robot. So here he is with Masterpiece Sideswipe for comparison. And I was going to put him next to Prime, but I really don't want to transform him right now. So just imagine Prime standing back here. He's a bit taller. Let's pan back a little bit. So he seems like he's a decent size in the robot mode, because he is smaller, so he adds some variety to the display. So he looks alright with these other guys, but really he's not that great of a figure. He's more of a failure than a success overall. I definitely would not recommend Continuously Variable to anybody without a great many caveats and tempering of expectations. I didn't pay much for him, which is good. The flaws, while annoying, haven't been too offensive because of that. I've been okay having him in my collection up to now, but I feel there's a lot of room for improvement for a Masterpiece style gears. And so next review, we will look at a newly acquired Not Gears in the form of Bad Cube's Grump. Hope that he does a better job at being a Masterpiece Gears. So hope you enjoyed this review. Look at a not great but okay figure. Thanks for watching. See you soon.